talking about purpose, is it?
The show must go on. The show must go on. That's it.
The ladies must talk.
Ladies must talk. I
Yeah.
mean, men are encouraged to talk as well because talk is actually very therapeutic. Once you release,
Absolutely. No, true.
you release it really. So we should be talking. Enough of dying in silence. It doesn't really help anyone. But anyway, we must say welcome everybody for watching. I look a little bit short. I mean, these ladies are taller, but anyway, my seat will go up in a minute. Yeah, but it's good to see another day, and even though it's busy, it's a bit funny, things are happening, but it's, they say when it's happening to you, it's happening for you. Take advantage of whatever it is, because in down the track you will forget that you ever went through all this pressure when things start falling in the right places for you. So I'm grateful that I'm here. Miss Greatness, I haven't heard from you. You've been having you- our newest entrepreneur doing business, and we're gonna talk about your business actually, because I was having a chat to you last week, and you said something very profound, which I like. But let me say welcome to Professor Mimi. It's good to have you back in our area for a little while before you shoot out again. So we don't know if you're here or you live intercontinental. But good to have you. How are you?
Thank you. I am great. I'm really good. Semester 2 started for me today. So I was delivering lectures to Masters of Business Administration Health stream and Masters of Health students, etc. So this semester I'm teaching evidence applications to practice, but also I'm teaching health leadership and service management. But what stood out to me was there was a student that I had taught policy last semester, and she was talking about how that has been used within their practice. She manages over 130 clinicians, and then this other one manages about 3 health services interstate, because the students are all over the country, right?
Mhm.
Delivery is online virtually, and
Okay.
really talking about, using some of what we discussed in class in terms of policy, in terms of improving people's lives, and really giving practical examples, drawing from some of the work that she submitted last semester or last year in her assessments, and pulling that. And it was just a profound moment, because that is literally validating that, it was so useful. And I'm so glad, she could share that, not just to me, but to the class.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow, that's really good, because sometimes as a lecturer, you don't even know who is sitting in your class.
Yes,
Some of the multinational top leaders could be in your class because they just need to
absolutely.
do this course for something. They might even have gotten their PhD, but they come back to do
Absolutely.
this course. So you never know. That's the that is the, I want to say, uh blessing that you lecturers you have, because you're mentoring people that you can't even imagine. So kudos kudos to that.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
next time we're going to talk about some public health. I've got some issue with some of the machinery that we use in Australia, so maybe there's something that you can throw to us, because some of us here, we don't even want to go do some checks because of the too invasives. Yeah, and the technology they use sometimes is not even pleasant for women. So I'm wondering, what will it be like people in the third world country? How do they do it? But today, though, it will be your topic. It will be your show on the day. But Miss Greatness, maybe you don't know, she started a business now, so she doesn't get salary no more. And so it's not that every fortnight I cash my money no more. Now she's spending the money. How has that been? I love to hear that.
Yeah, look, it's definitely a comfort zone that has been broken, and I must admit that I am definitely very clumsy around myself. I've got self-doubt. I have self-sabotage. I'm wondering, do I actually know what I'm doing? So am I actually making the difference that I think in my mind I'm making? So it is a very clumsy space that I'm in right now. Because as I said, self-doubt is very big. And I think now I understand why, they encourage us to surround yourself with like-minded people,
Yeah.
people who understand, what you go through, who've been there, and
Mhm.
who are able to let you know that it's part of the journey. There's nothing extraordinary about what you were going through. This is the way, So yeah, I am definitely, networking so that I am able to make the right connections,
Mhm.
and I have to redefine my friendships and things, So it's a big journey that I'm on. I didn't realize how is I don't want to say engaging it would be. I don't think that's the word that I'm looking for right now. Um, Intensive, I guess. Yeah, I didn't realize it was going to be this intensive, just to get through this phase. But yeah, it's a phase that I have to get through. It is true that I have jumped ship from the formal employment, and that I'm on my own. Motivating yourself or myself is equally a big thing. That's where I equally understand Simon Sinek, where he talks about you need to know your why.
Right. That's right.
You need to know your why, which is really very important, because without the why, it's easy to, throw in the towel and say it was, comfortable and much better over there, and probably to go back. But those thoughts come.
Mhm.
However, if you know your why, which is what I am telling myself, I know my why, and this is the journey that I want to be on. And I mean, in terms of reward, when it comes to satisfaction, I have never felt this contented and satisfied
Oh,
um, with what I do. I don't have a lot of clients, honestly speaking, but just meeting that one client one day, that the contentment that I have and the satisfaction that I go home with is a lot more than when I was employed full time. So that I think is one of the reasons why I probably will not change what I'm doing right now.
I
Business.
love what you just said, and it's absolutely true that
What a testimony.
what a testimony. The thing also is, sometimes you even question that your why, but is it premature? But for you,
Mm,
is it premature?
yeah.
But I think for you though, you are ready. That inclination that you had that made you wanted to start, it's valid. And I think,
Mm,
but your nature again we test you, because it's funny. I know, if I could say this from my observation of Liz is grandiose. Lizzie, she's the one that I don't think you're really the type that work for people as such. You're the one that's supposed to work for yourself because of your natural nature. I'm not saying it's because you're proud or whatever, but I know
Mm.
your I think your nature, you're very creative. You have this mind that you could travel, you could go. But when you're working for some people, they don't appreciate that sort of
And
gifting.
it gets limited. You very, blocked in.
And you're not that type of a person, you see. So I know for sure that you want that will work for yourself. But then also, you cannot eat your cake and have it because you're Miss Greatness. So there are some things that you need to now chef, which will be a shock to your system, because there will not be no luxury no more. You know, I know you're good at doing your nails yourself because there were times that you can't even afford to do nails. You need to pay salary, you need to pay rent, you need to pay all these things. And for the first 5 years, you're building this baby.
Wow.
Yes, you're investing and you might be getting zero. In saying that, God willing, you could be lucky to get one or two of these clients, but then the money goes back to the company as well. So I'll say 5 years, you start to look at maybe I should start paying myself something. But before then, it's very hard. And to make it, you need that networking, and then you need partner, you need even financial partner, you need people that might be want to come on board with you, and then you have that projection of 2 years, before they start to get return on investment or stuff like that. So it's very tough, but if you toughen it past the first 5 years, then you're on your journey. And the line that you're in is actually a good department. It's a good industry because they need people like you. We need people like you. Initially, it doesn't look financially rewarding, but it's eternally rewarding because you're actually
Mm.
saving lives and saving souls. I don't know if Professor Mimi really know your industry and the full flesh of what you do. Um, so now I'm thinking people are listening to you now that they, if we explain further, they will know that they really need your service because it's very, very helpful and it's a service that is needed. But it's demanding, demands your time, demands your money, emotion, no social a lot, apart from business networking. And so there's a whole lot. Ask me. I know you. I remember you told me you didn't tell me this. Some people didn't tell me, or some people lied to me, or something. That it's true. This is our life, but it gets better. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah.
Can I just
Thank you.
congratulate Liz for taking that bold step? And I think, Mama Temi, you've delved into it in a way that, and you've used some words that literally describe the woman that we see in front of us, which is why I sit around this table with you. And I think what you should take with you is that you already have support. You already have women who back you. And
Yeah.
as I always say, when you have a group of women who lift each other, they can only become stronger. And it
Mm.
is a bold step, to step aside completely, 100%, and say, I'm going to go down this path. The reality is, there is a vision, there is a goal, and there are desired outcomes. So you must keep your eyes on that goal. What is that
Mm.
vision? And don't be distracted. Don't second guess yourself.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about not being sure, it's almost like this whole theory, I call it a theory that I don't actually support in terms of imposter syndrome. You are
Mm-hmm.
there because you deserve it and because you are capable, right? So you are
Yeah.
not there and you are not trying to be another person. And I think keep talking to yourself aloud, right? In terms of your abilities, your capabilities. People may not know you, may not know that you anchored, shows overseas before migrating to Australia, and that you are such a leader in different spaces.
Yeah.
And, so I think just draw back and just take a step back and go to that woman that list was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And I think when you look back, you realize that, you know what, this is what you were always designed to do. And it maybe you went around the circle, but you literally just landed back where you belong. So well done.
Thank
And,
you. Thank
and
you. You
amazing.
you brought us back to the topic of last week, how do you know this is where you're supposed to be?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, now that's true, Doc. Thank you very much for those wise words.
my pleasure.
The imposter syndrome is so real,
Yeah.
and yeah, it really needs self-reflection and self-awareness to be able to do that self-talk that you have mentioned, and let yourself know that this is what you are. You are not
Imposing any
defaulting.
Yeah, you're
Exactly.
not an imposter.
Exactly.
And this is a big fat lie that they talk to a lot of young people. And I've sat on a panel and you hear somebody talk about, oh, when I was here, I felt this. And that is their story. That's okay. And I remember a question being directed to me in one of the panels one time that I sat on and in different spaces. And I've always been very honest. I don't, and I have never felt like I'm imposing any. I am being somebody else because I'm me, and I've always been me, and I've always been doing, those things because I know what I do is because I am capable, right? And if I decided to do something completely different, I'm going to be able. I will also be just as successful. So it is about knowing your strength. It's about building on them. It's about honing them, but not just doing it alone, lifting others, right? Being
Mhm.
there for other people. And I think people sometimes may take that for granted. However, I think there's a lot of power in humility. So I'll
Mm,
just leave it
that's very true. That's very true. One of the things I want to say also for people that might be watching as well and in the same position is the fact that you start a business still doesn't mean you cannot have a private practice. You cannot do some other job. Like I said, for me, I used to go work. I might do my nursing to build my business. I go sometimes and do agency work to pay the staff because I really need to nurture this. So every now and then, also, if there's an opportunity, that's the kind of thing you do to build your business or while you're building your business. But at least it takes that full-time job demand that you have to go 9 to 5, 9 to 5. It takes it off. So you might do
Mm.
one day here, 2 days there, just whatever suits you, if need be, to build your business while you're building the business. It's interesting that we're talking business today. We're supposed to be talking Deborah Dickinson today. I texted out during the show and said it wouldn't be I don't think it would be appropriate for her to come midway and to start doing the talk. So we really want to be comfortable and sit on our couch and do a good justice to Deborah. We don't want to just half
there.
do it. So she was texting me. She was planned and prepared for today. She was going to come, and even when she was driving, I'm like, nah, it's okay. She got caught up somewhere. She really wants to tell us, and we know when Deborah comes, it's full of fun. She tells us the way it is, and we learn so much from Deborah. So we pray next week it will be the day that we're going to do it. So today we can. Uh, I want to share about a girl that I spoke with yesterday. I had a conversation with this girl yesterday, and I was so inspired by her confidence and her boldness. We were talking, and at the time, she told me, I'm the best out of my siblings. So she said, I'm the best. And I want to share this with you. I'm going to have one on one with her again, but I just let her express. But the fact of the matter is, she's indeed the best, like in terms of all round. But for her to know that and to confidently say that out, what do you think? I left the place. I'm like, I will have a chat to her. It's true. She's not lying. But the question is, should you be confident like that, or should you pretend and say, just to fulfill all righteousness? Is it,
You can be
like,
confident and be humble. And I think if she's confident and humble, that's a fantastic thing. But that also then goes back to how she has been raised. So long as being confident, not at the expense of your siblings, right? Because I think there is something to be said about siblings being
mm,
as united as possible. That is so, so important, right? But if you are confident and you think that you are best, that is okay. But I will not see, comparing yourself with your siblings or having a thought that you are better than them, because each of them will be gifted in a different way.
and they
And
are.
they will be gifted in a different way. So maybe the right language could be, in terms of what I do, I have excelled, maybe in business, maybe in education, maybe in sports more than my siblings. So comparatively, in that area, you better than them. But to start thinking that maybe you're better than them as a person, that is something that they have to probably just check their confidence in relation to that, because in the long term that could be damaging to meaningful and very, very important relationships.
Yeah, I feel the same. Miss Greatness?
Oh, well, absolutely well captured by Prof. Mimi there. Honestly, I was actually wondering, my ankle was based on what Dr. Mimi said about siblings and related relationships. Are there siblings that don't have rivalry, really? I thought,
Yeah.
that rivalry is always a part of this
Mm,
union, and it's always a complex relationship to keep together, particularly with very large families. We always have that, you know, we call them the black sheep of the family. I don't know whether that's the right word to use still, but
yeah.
we do have that one person, who always ruins the gatherings and or any beautiful thing that you are coming up with as, a unit, siblings. So that's where my thought went.
Mm.
Is there a family unit in terms of siblings that always have it together? Um,
Yeah, that
yeah.
is an interesting one, Liz Greatness, and it's a good angle to take on this. I think again, it comes back to how the family unit was and how the children have been raised. There
Mm.
is sibling rivalry, quote unquote, which is most often not rivalry that helps them to bond as they grow up as children. They're going to disagree, they're going to fight over God knows something that is not important, but who had what color of shoes or who had whatever served first, etc. But as they become mature, independent adults with their own independent families, if such behavior continues, then that is something to be checked. And this is why they need to then sit down and think and really think about it. I guess I come from a family where we have certain policies in terms of how we do things, and we all have to make contributions. And it doesn't matter how much money you have or you don't have, so long as everybody brings $1, some other person brings 10,000 or 500, it is a
That's the crux of the
contribution.
matter.
So it is not about equality, it's about
Mhm.
equity, right?
Mhm.
So if you make it equitable and people feel included, right? But if you want to make it equal in, you probably earn, $20,000 a month, and then somebody earns $3,000 a month, and you want to set up something that everybody needs to come up with $10,000. What you are indirectly doing is putting a stretch on that other individual because
Yeah,
it is not equitable. But
it's
if
not
you
fair.
make it such that it is balanced, such that this person who earns maybe $20,000 a month is going to contribute maybe 40% of whatever you are going to come up with, or 50%, and then the other individuals, based on their earnings and their own assets, are going to make a contribution. You see that that is where it is equitable, and there is no way you're going to have rivalry, because you are taking everybody's needs into consideration. And I think when people fail to do that, this is where it becomes a problem. It becomes problematic. That said, there are other individuals that there are things you can never do to place them, and that is, again, it stems back how people are raised.
Mm. Yeah. Now, I agree, Doc, in that regard, honestly, because what I have seen is that, even just that conversation of this is how much we contribute, and this is the total that we are looking at, and everybody gives, however much they can, so that we are able to get to that. In such conversations, some members don't even talk on the group. Some family members are quiet on the group, and you've got no idea, do they want to contribute? Don't they want to contribute? What is coming up for them? So really, it's I don't even know, in settings like that, how do you bring that one or two siblings on board who are so quiet when it's time for, we've got to do this, we've got to
Can I
contribute.
bring my classroom skills? I'm gonna bring my classroom skills on that discussion. So
I
normally
was
in a
actually,
class,
I was actually going to make this a hot topic, because I have a lot of contribution in the question when somebody is quiet, and you said something, Prof, that some people you cannot please. And I'm just curious, like I'm always curious about this. How is your family like really? Because that's my family you're painting. But I'm wondering if there are people out there that have got this perfect family and they got it all perfect. Because when my parents were alive, we thought everything was working well. We thought we were all good until they died, and then everybody's true colors start coming out. So all this time is being all pretense. People have been pretending, and that is the question that I brought about this girl that said outrightly, I'm better." You know, we were not taught to say we're better. We were always, I don't know, like if the young girl, you're very humble, everybody loves, and together, but it still did not make any difference. It still doesn't work. Like people still want to
okay,
assassinate.
you've said a few things, but then I'm going to build from what Liz said, then come to
Mm-hmm.
you, right? And I was going to say, I'm going to draw on the classroom moderation
Technique. Yeah.
strategy, where you have mature age students who are professionals. Most often they're not senior professionals. The managers, the directors, they're wanting to go to the next level, right? Go higher to executives, CEOs, etc. And you have some people who are naturally vocal, and there are some people who like to listen, reflect before they ask a question. But then the strategy I would normally do is really important. So we have like forums that people can drop things there, and I'll ask them, during a lecture, to do some quick writes. They can share that by choice with the rest of the group, or they can drop it later on in the forum, and then others can comment. However, if I was doing a focus group and I had quiet members of the group, what I would do is, can people who have already spoken not say anything until every other person in the room has said something? And I think when you do that, you bring everybody's voice out, but you also recognize, and there is nothing wrong in saying, hey, auntie this or auntie X, you've really not said anything, and we really don't know what you're thinking directly. I mean, that's an open, honest, direct question, and we don't know your views or your perspective on this. And it is really important to us that, is this something you support or you don't support, or you need us to adjust it? And I think it is always about thinking about the needs of the others as well. Then going to Mama Temi's in terms of siblings and when your parents pass, etc. Okay, I take an example like when my father passed. my siblings, most of them were there, they were home, etc. And they're the first point of contact. And I see my role in that space, in that the people who are on the ground, most often than not, they have a lot of weight to carry and to deal with a lot of the external family and structural social issues. And most often than not, people don't even value those errands and all those things that these people are doing in terms of the monetary terms. You are somewhere and you are giving instructions, but some people don't recognize that those people have to take time off work, off their businesses, but also the level of commitment and the emotional burden on them. And I
Yeah.
think when you take that into account, it doesn't matter how much you then contribute, it will not matter. And I think the best strategy, especially for you people in the diaspora, myself inclusive, is always to, if you've got people who live in different parts of the world, it's really to ask everybody, what are you comfortable in donating?
Mm.
Or these are your thoughts. You who lives overseas, please don't set the budget. Let the people who stay at home, they set the budget, because when they set the budget, they should set the budget and they should give you your own share of what they think you should contribute. And you must take into you must recognize the fact that you may be putting X amount of money on the table, but they are running around. That cannot even be quantified, etc. And then when you bring all of that together, you see that maybe that X person gave $20,000, this other person only gave $500 or $1,000, but the emotional burden and everything combined, to me, it comes back to the same thing. So I never look at it from equality. I always look around equity, and I think again, how did your parents, as people, have those open conversations with you people? My father was very direct. He was an only child. I always say, had a stepsister later, but for his from his father and mother, he was the only child. So his children, he saw them as siblings. So he had him no secrets with us.
Mm.
So there was nobody, but he also indulged in every child such that you knew exactly who you are. But we felt very empowered, especially the daughters, very, very empowered. So I
Mm.
think when you are surrounded by that, that helps.
Yeah. We definitely, we all, everybody, I believe, work on equity. And if you come from the part where I come from, if you're from diaspora, you don't even say a word. And if
Yeah,
you're younger or you're in the youngest, you don't even say nothing. Because already they already high mark how much dollar you're going to change. They're going to give it to you. They're telling you what to do. So our case is we bear the brunt. You're in abroad, whether you have a job, you don't have a job, nobody cares. So they are telling you what they want you to bring. So it's actually we're the one that suffer because we're in abroad. Now, that's not but the essence. What I say that is sometimes you have this sibling rivalry that you're not privy to. You are just you don't even know, but somebody in the family has this issue. They have this. It's a condition because it's not normal. I don't think it's really normal for somebody to be envious of their sibling. You must be sick to
yeah,
be envious of your sibling, your
yeah,
own brother
yeah,
or sister. You must be sick. It doesn't make sense to me at all.
yeah,
But there are a lot of people, apparently, they are like this, you
yeah,
know. And even though you are not saying you're good academically, you're not saying you're good, they're
yeah,
still envious and they're still, having issues with you. But this little girl that said, I'm like, maybe this is what people in some families are wanted to say, but they're not able to say it, but in silence, they think they're better and they're envious and they're jealous of their own
yeah.
sibling. But this girl is saying it. So that's why I thought I'd bring the question. Should we say for her to stop? But what I'm going to say to her is that like there's healthy rivalry, which is
Correct.
pure said, there could be healthy rivalry where we all work together to empower each other and grow together. My sister does basketball. He takes me to basketball. Me, I want to go to basketball like my sister, something like that. That is healthy. But when it becomes that I'm superior, then that is not healthy. So I will have a seat with her, and she's only young. She's only young anyway.
Well, give her the example of the Williams sisters who have
Hmm.
changed the trajectory of tennis around the world.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and they
they
love each
amongst the
other.
bigger group of siblings, right? Up dearly. So that is, yeah, they used to play each other
Yeah,
at championships
yeah,
opposite each other. And I recall watching a match here in Melbourne where Serena was one end and Venus was the other end. And I think that occasion I actually had a photo with their mom.
I was there.
Years
Me
and
too.
years, you
Me.
yeah, so you
Mhm.
recall this was years ago.
Right.
Yet after that, they embraced each other and they
Yeah.
look forward to the next match. It never had anything to do with their personal lives. And they always said, we are there to people have come to watch two tennis players play a championship or whatever a game, and they are there to do that, and they do that without any ill feelings. Who wins? Who wins? So there is healthy rivalry.
Right. Yeah. So I'm glad you have put some wisdom into this. And when I have a chat, I sit down with her on Wednesday, I will propose that because just humble in the spirit and
Yeah.
LD rivalry
Yeah,
is honor.
can I come in as well? I am thinking from from that girl's perspective that you are talking about. Um, she may, think quite highly of herself, which is something you can talk to her about. But there is the other side where some of her siblings could have a low complex about themselves. And
Yes.
because of that, they are projecting,
Mm,
some sort of behavior
mm,
towards the sister. And that could be,
mm,
some of the reasons why maybe in some families somebody may not be talking, in a group, or may not want to contribute in a group among the siblings because they have got that low self complex of themselves,
yeah.
and and that limits them from coming out fully.
Mhm.
um so how would one manage that, Doc, when somebody has got that complex about themselves? It's not necessarily that they have an envy. It's that they've got a complex.
That's right. Because they've never been given the confidence, or they've been, the way they've been surrounded and their worldview, but
Mm.
others have never really encouraged them. But there's also something we have to think as people. Self-praise is no praise, except you're a lizard who jumps down. I think Cheno said, except you're a lizard that jumps down an Iroko tree or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
So things fall apart, right? So when you
Mhm.
think about some of those things, again, you need to look at the context.
Okay.
And if once you sit down with that young woman, there will be a
Mm,
bigger story. It is
mm,
one thing having confidence, it is
mm.
one thing knowing who you are, but it is a different story going around saying, I know that I'm better than X, I know that I'm better than this. It becomes, for me, that's something to be very
Yeah,
careful about.
yeah.
I think people should not go around self praising themselves. Let other people praise you, and let other people, it doesn't mean that you don't acknowledge who you are. You should acknowledge
Yeah.
who you are, should acknowledge your capabilities, but leave the praises for others.
To others to say. That's where we're gonna stop tonight. It's been fantastic, Liz. It's like you live with these people, and that's one of the issues there. Even that some people don't talk. Some people have low self-esteem, and also what Prof said about the surroundings. Everything you said is that you live with her, and that's the truth. But thank you so very much for those insights and. We got a lot of work to do. We need to know when the if pride is coming in or when you know who you are.
That's
We
right.
just have to be able to separate that. But it's been an interesting session. We're gonna say goodbye for now. And anybody got anything burning that you want to say before we call it a day?
Thank
I
you
Yes.
am
very
looking
much.
forward to the book
Okay.
launch.
Book lunches coming.
Yes.
Book
Yeah.
launch.
Book launch. In fact, three of our mayors have already signed. They come in and are okay. This is getting bigger than what we thought. We thought we're just gonna do 3 hours between 2 and 5 and just do, but we might be looking to extend the hours because I know when they come, they want to say something. So yeah, I'm looking forward
Mhm.
to it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
Thank
say
you.
for now till next week, Monday, same time. Hopefully, Deborah Dickinson is not gonna be driving and get stopped. But
Yeah.
it's worth waiting for. It's what trust me, it is. We see you then.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.